Good morning, Metro Detroit. It's Kerry Leon Jackson, your urban conservative. How are you this morning? Time now is 6 o'clock in the morning. If you got to be there by 7 o'clock, you got 1 hour to get there. Listen to the 910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only urban talk radio station. The number here in the studio is 313-778-7600. It's 313-778-7600. You'll remember right when we got ready to go off the air, well, yesterday afternoon or yesterday morning, Sarge called and there was something that he wanted to talk about. So, Sarge, if you're up and you're listening, get on the horn, 313-778-7600. I'm not quite sure what it was about, but I did tell him he could call and we would try and address that today. And of course, that was before I saw the news yesterday and picked the topic that I wanted to talk about today. Apparently, Ford Motor Company back in I think the article that I read said that they originally applied for this patent back in October, but the application for the patent became public the last few days of Black History Month. That Ford Motor Company has applied for a patent, and then this made several news outlets yesterday. I don't know whether you saw it in the news or the Free Press, or there's several national publications that also covered it because, hey, it's a move by a major automaker. That the Ford Motor Company has applied for a patent. That does not mean they've been awarded the patent yet, but they've applied for a patent for technology for their new cars that they will be producing in the future that will allow the not just whoever the finance company is, whoever finances the car, but there's technology that they will embed into the chips on all of their new cars that will allow them to try to keep to try to reduce confrontation with customers who are behind on their payments. And instead of them, and the articles have indicated that Ford's PR people have said, listen, this is just going to be a last ditch option if we've already tried letters and phone calls and all sorts of communication things to try and find out, to try and get people to become current with their car note. That if that doesn't work, that they would have the ability to turn, not just and this is the turning the car off, a kill switch, is technology that y'all know that and apparently I wasn't the only person that thought about it. Apparently, many, when I posted the articles last night, the comments over and over and over again said it clearly sounds like Ford is taking a page out of the old Melfire playbook. And you'll remember that back in the late 80s and into the 90s, Melfire, an African American Melfire, and his tagline was Melfire Superstar, an African American former football player who had become a nationally known Black auto dealer for Ford Motor Company, who also owned his own lending company, had taken on some new technology that allowed them to install a kill switch in their automobiles. And that if you were and those of you, apparently this was very, very popular, since a lot of people wound up commenting on it here in Detroit, that if in fact you wound up behind on your car payment, it allowed the dealership the ability to turn off, to kill your ability to start the car, to turn your car off, and you couldn't go out and start it until you've made that payment, until you become current with them. And I know, and several of you, Al and others, wound up sending me the articles from the late 80s, the late 90s, about the lawsuits that were entailed, that followed that technology. And I remember, because I know Mel Jr. and the family, I remember all of the acrimony that came up as a result of folks not being happy with his use of that technology, and what subsequently Ford Motor Company did, how they wound up severing their relationship with Melfire. But I thought that it was pretty ironic that now, 25 years later, Ford Motor Company, not GM, not Chrysler, or Stellantis, or whatever they're called now, not any of the other car companies, but that Ford Motor Company has decided that they want to, for the exact same reasons, to bring people current with the payments of their auto payments. They want the ability to have the car not just kill the car, but lock out the dealer, so they would be able to remotely change your lock so that your keypad, your key fob wouldn't work. You couldn't get into the car if you're behind on your payments. And it would then, instead of them having to hire a towing service to come and pick the car up, it would allow these self-driving automobiles to leave you, to drive away and to drive themselves to the nearest impound lot or whatever would be run by the bank, the lender, or whoever has the right to repossess that automobile. It gives them a leg up. Their position is, well, we were doing this to try to reduce confrontation, to get to the point where we don't have to have, y'all know what you see a lot of with people when they're behind on their car payments. You know, they want to fight, holler, and scream with the tow truck drivers that are there to repossess the automobile. And this would take the human being, the tow truck driver, out of the equation. So yeah, that means that there's more people that would wind up, technology is taking over their jobs. But I wanted to talk to y'all to see how you feel about whether it's Ford Motor Company, and let's not just pick on Ford Motor Company, because the one thing that we all know is that since, I believe that when Mel Farr Sr. passed away back in, I think it was 2015, one of the articles from another leading auto dealer, he talked about the fact that Mel Farr was he was a trailblazer. He was a man before his time, and whenever there are trailblazers, you know good and well, those are the people. Whoever tries it first is the one that always takes it on the chin for whatever the things are that go wrong. I'm not denying the fact that there were some lawsuits that came out of the technology, and that there might have been a couple of occasions when the technology didn't work as it initially was designed. That's up to y'all if that's what y'all want to talk about. 313-778-7600. What I want to talk about is, how do you feel about the fact that Ford Motor Company, Ford, again, not one of the other motor companies, but Ford has said, you know what? We didn't really like that technology and shutting the car off back when an African-American lender, car dealer and lender was doing it back in the 90s. But now, not only do we want to use it, because you know that many other companies are using it now. Many high interest lenders use it as a regular part of them financing automobiles. They always put kill switches and things like that in the cars that they have sent out to other people. But how do you feel about the fact that technology has again, the world is round. You will get there eventually. We're back to that point where they're using technology to try to control you, to try and force you to bring that payment current. And when you don't bring it current, you're going to be denied your property. 313-778-7600. Let's go to the phones. And Sarge, I haven't forgotten that I told you can call this morning. But Sarge is not on the phone yet. Let's talk to some of these people that are on the phone. Let's talk to Grace. Good morning, Grace. How are you?
I'm well. I'm excellent. I don't really have a problem with it, but it needs to be a lot more details about the situation. I think before you even buy the vehicle, all that information needs to come up, and each individual needs to know what the terms are of that particular situation if it becomes delinquent. It's okay, but it needs to be very, very detailed. If you're going to purchase the vehicle, and this is something, if you become delinquent, they can do this, this, and this. It needs to be very detailed, and the individual that's purchasing needs to agree to that. And there is no wiggle room, no back door for Ford Motor Company to do buffoonery, because we know they will. I would want to know from Ford, and you say don't beat up on them, but let's beat up on them. Is there some kind of demographic table of who's normally not paying? Are they doing this because of this, and this? Or they feel across the board? Because somebody in the back room, smoke room, figured out, let's do this because this is happening. So we need to corral this.
What's happening is that the cars that used to cost $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 now cost $70,000, $80,000, and $100,000. If you've not been to the auto show lately, what's happening now is that even though the cars cost a lot more money, people are not going to stop buying the cars. They're just, all of the innovations that came in with leasing and that your lease payment was cheaper simply just pushed the car payments are still the ones providing the cars and putting them on the street. And your lease payment is higher now than it was 20 years ago. Everything costs more now. And there will still be times when people fall behind on their payments. And so that is a cost of doing business. But my thing is, this is at no point in time. Let me say this. If I had read an article that said GM is the one that applied for the patent, I wouldn't be talking about it today because I ain't really care. It's like, whoever's going to apply for the patent, whoever gets there first wins the race. My problem is I remember how Ford Motor Company reacted about this when it was an African-American auto dealer who had his own lending company that decided that he wanted to be a trailblazer then, and how they walked away from him. How when the heat was on, Ford Motor Company said, "Yeah, never mind. I know you sold us a lot of cars, but we don't like the heat we're taking. Bye. See you later." And now they've got the nerve to be saying, "We came up with this idea. These are the people who are engineers. They live in Grosse Pointe and places like that. They've come up with the technology, and we want to patent that technology." I think it's ridiculously ironic.
But why isn't it somewhat geared towards anti-theft? Why does it have to be towards the delinquency of a payment? So they're missing the mark. So there's other conversations that are going on.
Wait, y'all. So did y'all understand what Grace just said? Everybody in this town knows, and police agencies all over the country know, that Chrysler builds cars deliberately designed to let people easily steal your car. And we're not talking about the fact that Chrysler's come up with easier ways to stop Chrysler or Kia or Hyundai, that any of them have decided we're going to stop people from stealing these cars and we're going to make them safer for you. No, that's not what they've decided to do. Though they don't care that your car is being stolen. All of the car manufacturers don't care that your catalytic converters have the sort of titanium in them that people are stealing every day, and your insurance carrier is not covering it. No, we're not talking about technology to actually protect you. We're talking about technology to actually victimize you more.
Absolutely. So that right there, there's more conversation going in the back rooms of what's going on and how they want to really handle this. There's more to it. We won't be pertinent to those particular conversations unless some email is leaked. But I would focus more on the end of anti-theft and make it really fair across the board. Me getting my money because I'm letting you have this vehicle, and also to protecting my customer. There's more conversation about it. So I just, it is what it is. I would have to say people stop buying those cars.
Yeah, we know good and well that folks are not going to stop buying them.
We're a thirsty society.
Yeah, exactly. And
Shiny
everybody's
things.
got to have the newest whatever came out, no matter what it cost and no matter how much the dealership or the folks are taking advantage of you. I agree with that. Thanks for calling. I got to go to break. The rest of y'all that's on the phone, I'm going to get y'all when we come back on the other side of the break. 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. We're going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back.
Attention. Do you owe back taxes, fines, and penalties to the IRS? The IRS now offers new relief options for taxpayers affected by COVID-19, but you can't go it alone. Call Tax Solutions now. Our team of former IRS agents and tax professionals can get you the best deal. We know the COVID-19 rules. Call us and never speak to the IRS again.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
The virus has caused the IRS to take extensive action to help taxpayers. So if you owe $10,000 or more, this is the best time in years to settle your tax debt.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
Remember, the IRS will not give up until you pay. Call 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499. The Word Network has been broadcasting inspirational messages around the world since the year 2000, and we keep getting bigger and better and more innovative. Seen all around the world, we bring you the best teaching, impartation, singing, and inspiration. If you want original programming, we have that too. The Word Network is your exclusive source for all things inspiration, and we can be found on every device imaginable. If you want to be uplifted and inspired, you need the Word Network.
My 38 is offering a great special that cannot be refused. Are you looking for a great deal on TV advertising? Are you searching for an avenue to get your business name out to the public? With My 38, we are offering a great special with 100 commercial ads for a great price. This offer is for a 30-day ad placement. Please contact Devin C. for more information at 248-357-4566 or email at d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads.
Did you know most vitamin supplements don't even come from food? Even the products with colorful fruits and vegetables adorning the labels are seldom derived from produce. Typically, supplements are synthetic, made in a laboratory. Modern science may synthetically imitate these chemicals, but your body isn't fooled. It knows the difference, and it craves quality materials to build, repair, and fight illness. You need to consume fruits and vegetables daily in a variety of colors, as well as whole grains and other fresh food. That's why I formulated Balance of Nature. I wanted to be able to give my patients a natural alternative to the cheap, unnatural chemistry by giving them real fruits and vegetables. In fact, the only ingredients inside of Balance of Nature are whole fruits and vegetables. Don't settle for imitation nutrition. Reach for the good stuff, the real stuff.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order by using discount code RADIO5.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. This is Kerry. Go ahead. Play that. Jalen, play that commercial.
The continuing adventures of Mel Farr Superstar, fighting high prices to bring you a far better deal.
Yes, I'm fighting high prices on used cars with my low monthly payment plan. Take a look at my used car special of the week. This beautiful 1980 Mustang for only $119 a month. We've got a lot full of these bargains. The other dealers can't say your 80 Mustang for $119 a month, and they can't fly either.
I gotta tell you, watching those commercials brings back a whole bunch of memories from the 80s and the 90s. This morning we're talking about a plan, a application for a patent made by Ford Motor Company to allow them to use technology and embed that technology into the memory chip on all of their new vehicles. And that technology would allow them to not just shut off your car if you're behind on your payment, but to allow that car to change the locks on you so that it would lock you out of the automobile and allow those self-driving automobiles to drive away from you and drive themselves to the nearest tow lot. So there would no longer be a need to wind up hiring and using a tow service to come out and repossess your car. These cars would be self-repossessing. And I wanted to know what you feel about it. When I saw the articles that were posted yesterday about the notice coming out, particularly during the end of Black History Month, I thought something, and apparently when I shared the article, plenty of other Detroiters or Metro Detroiters thought the same thing, that this sounded like an idea that had previously been tried by an African-American who used to be a football player and wound up being a leading Ford automotive dealer by the name of Mel Farr. Mel Farr Sr. passed away, I believe it was in 2015. So I reached out last night to his son, who we've been friends since, I believe, like 94, 95, 96, somewhere around in there, and asked him, and because Mel Jr. is in Atlanta, he hadn't seen the articles yet, so I sent the articles to him. Good morning, Mel. How are you this morning, brother?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Fine. First, thank you for getting up this early in the morning, brother, and call it. I know, well, it's 6:20 here, so it's also 6:20 down there with you. What did you think when you saw the articles I sent you yesterday?
I thought my dad was ahead of his time. Technology, with technology, there comes innovation. And, I think what my dad was doing at that particular time is he was trying to find a way to be able to make vehicles more accessible to the masses. And hopefully, I'm not sure that's what Ford's plan plan is. You talked to me yesterday about how being ironic that Ford had a problem with what my dad was doing. And, their problem was that their name was associated with it because my dad was a Ford dealer. So now I'm looking at this, here we are, 30 years later, 30 years later, I guess, and they're associating their name with.
Not just associate their name, they've applied for the patent. They want a corner of the market. Okay. And
kind of ironic.
Right.
I don't know if there was conversations in the boardroom where they say, hey, well, Melfar did this some time ago, and we didn't particularly care for it, but we're all on board with it now. I would love to get to a bit of a board meeting.
Let me tell you, and so I guess that clearly means to me, did anybody reach out to any of the members of the family to say that we want to talk to you about? So if you didn't know until I sent you the article yesterday, that means that Ford has not bothered to reach out to the family to say, let's talk about us going the next step, because in the application for the patent, they've listed several people who they've listed them as engineers who, of course, all work for Ford Motor Company. And they're saying, listen, this is their idea. They came up with the software. Because they did it on behalf of Ford Motor Company, we want to own the patent. They want to corner the market. And as I said a few minutes ago before you were on the line, if GM had applied for this, it would not have crossed my mind to think about any of this or to call you and say, brother, I got to send you these articles. I need you to read what's going on. I thought it was ridiculously ironic that Ford Motor Company, out of all of the auto suppliers in the world, said, oh, this is a good idea. I'm glad that our people came up with this. Let's apply for the patent now. So I really thought that I was hoping that you said, yeah, well, Kerry, they've talked to us a while ago about it. And, since he was an auto dealer, they owned the rights and all that other stuff. But no, I remember, and I don't know if you got a chance to see the articles that I posted on my social media. Everyone that even reshared those articles, there were folks, everybody that talked about it, all mentioned your father's name. So clearly nobody, that these Metro Detroiters have not forgotten that your father, Melfar Superstar, Melfar Sr., was the one who initially said, we're going to use technology to allow more people to go ahead and if they normally can't afford a car, we've got a way to protect our interest in the car. And we're going to put more cars out on the street and give more people the opportunity to drive those things. Let me ask this. Looking at it now, and as you said, your father was clearly before his time. And I read something where one of the other folks, when your father passed away, what year was that? Was that 2015?
Yes, it was.
So I remember reading an article when your father passed away that a couple of other auto dealers said the exact same thing, because folks, the technology that your father used, the shutoff switch, everybody uses those now. Nobody used them before your father did, but now everybody is using those and programming those into cars still to this day. Do y'all receive any sort of credit at all for that from any of the other auto manufacturers?
No, none whatsoever. And lending institutions use them. I mean, sometimes that might be a part of their approval package that some sort of device needs to be put on the vehicle. And primarily what you want to be able to do is locate it. The device that my dad had, all it did was it was starter interrupter. All that stuff about a car stopping on the highway and stuff like that. The car may have stopped while it was driving, but it wasn't because of the device. Because the device was only a starter interrupter. It disabled your ability to be able to start the car once payments were missed. And there's always going to be people who find ways around it. As there's always going to be eager attorneys out there making a name for themselves, and that's what we kind of found ourselves in the middle of. And so, but it paved the way for what you see now. I mean, there's all that technology is there, and it comes even coming from the manufacturer. I mean, you have OnStar on your vehicle, and you can locate your stolen vehicle. Well, guess what? If your payment is late, they can locate that vehicle as well.
That's right.
With that OnStar device that's been on General Motors vehicles. So he just kind of made it available to the masses now. When that suit settled, people realized that, hey, this isn't a bad idea, and now it's just now we've gotten used to it. People who are in that area where their credit is marginal, they understand that they're getting an opportunity, and they will, now, they accept the fact that they're going to have some type of device on that automobile.
Listen, thank you for getting up earlier, for calling and joining us, brother. I'm telling you, your dad and y'all folks that was it Triple M Financing? That instantly came to my mind when I read the articles yesterday, and I said, hold on, I got to find my number and I got to call Bill. So thanks for getting up, brother.
Use this to, my pleasure. Hopefully, Ford will use this to be able to make cars accessible to more people. I mean, I've questioned a lot of things that Ford has done, and they got out of the car business. They don't build cars anymore. So how do you introduce someone to your product? So we'll see what they're going to do with this.
I got you. All right, brother. I know you got to go hit the bike. I lost weight last year, and I've regained all of the weight that I had lost. So I think I got to get back into the pattern myself. So go get on your bike. Thanks for exercise. Go get your exercise. All right, brother. I'll be in touch with you soon. Love you. Tell everybody I said hey. All right.
Love you too, man. Take care.
Thanks. 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. Let's talk to Tia. Good morning, Tia.
Good morning, Jerry. I was just listening to your conversation there. My first car that I bought from Mailfire. Well, I was financing for a motor credit, but I still bought it through Mailfire. Mailfire gave a lot of African Americans the opportunity to get finance for a car, because Ford Motor Credit back in the day was pretty racist. They didn't like to finance African Americans like that. So that was the opportunity for people to get a car. Now, I'll speak to this again, as Mailfire Jude said that GM has OnStar. They have the ability to track the car. What I don't like about the technology is that, especially now, what Ford is trying to do is hypocritical. It's hypocritical, but because they separated themselves from Mailfire for this reason.
You said it so nicely. They dumped the brother. They didn't want to take the heat, and they kicked him no matter how many cars he had sold, no matter how much he had promoted the name of Ford Motor Company in the community. They kicked him to the curb simply because they didn't like the press. And now, as his son just said, almost 30 years later, now they're sitting there not just embracing the technology, but trying to own the technology and say, we don't want other folks to own it. We want to own it now.
It's hypocritical. But I will say this. What I don't like about what Ford is trying to do now with the kill switch, and also to lock you out, to basically change the locks on the car. I would just wonder, like, if you got out your car, but you left your baby in the back seat, would it lock that baby up in there?
It's going to lock the car. It's going to lock the car, and you'll be locked out of your car, turning around. And here's the real thing. If you're in the suburbs somewhere, I'm finna find a brick and open this car back up. If you somewhere where they ain't bricks laying on the side of the road, you locked out of your car. You're right. If you got out of your car and walked into the gas station and your baby is in the car seat in the back, your baby's locked away from you. And not to mention, I don't know if you saw the story the other day where, the police called because there was a baby in the back of a stolen Volkswagen, and they called Volkswagen to say, give us the location. And the Volkswagen, the guy at the other end of the phone said, I'm not giving you nothing until y'all pay us $150. So a baby was kidnapped. A similar story to what you just suggested was in the news last week, and they still would not give out the location of the car without the money. So,
or you got an oxygen tank or a wheelchair,
anything like that, life-saving devices like crazy, they don't care. I got to go to break, Tia. They playing the music system. Thanks for calling this morning. Have a great day. We're going to take our second break of the morning. It's a very quick break. We'll be right back.
The all-new 910 Superstation is your #1 source for urban talk radio. If you're looking for the best in radio programming, look no further. You can now listen in on a multitude of audio platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Listen Notes, and coming soon to Amazon Music, Goodpods, and Overcast. 910 AM Superstation, the largest, strongest, 50,000-watt urban radio station in town.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential and explains every step of the invention process. We create professional materials representing your idea and submit it to companies who are looking for new ideas. We have more than 9,000 companies who've agreed to review ideas in confidence. If a company shows interest in manufacturing your invention, we can negotiate on your behalf. We have helped over 10,000 clients receive patents. We also offer services including 3D modeling and animation demonstrating your idea, prototyping services, and we use state-of-the-art technology to show InventHelp client ideas to additional companies. Join the thousands of people just like you who chose InventHelp to pursue their idea. We are experienced. We are working for you. We are InventHelp.
Call us for free information at 1-800-460-1663. That's 1-800-460-1663. Again, 1-800-460-1663.
910 AM Superstation has the greatest advertising deal ever with our Godfather package. 100 spots for $600 with a must-air within 30-day policy, and we will even produce the spots free. That's right, free. Call Devin C. now at 248-357-4566. That's 248-357-4566. Or email at d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I've had no energy for months and months and months. I had no energy, and I'm a very active person. And my husband was noticing that I was tired all the time, and I was slow at everything that I was doing. And I kept listening to the commercials. And, you know, you don't know if something's going to help you or not. But I decided this was something I was going to do. And lo and behold, in about 4 days to taking them, I was repotting plants. I was doing other things. My husband said to me, "You seem to have more energy." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine." And I'm telling you, nothing has ever made such a difference. So anyway, I'm very happy.
Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code RADIO5.
The 910 AM live stream can now be seen on Apple TV, Roku, Chromecast, YouTube Red, iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, Amazon Kindle Fire, any Windows phone, or watch us live at 910amsuperstation.com.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. This is Kerry Leon Jackson, your urban conservative. You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only urban talk radio station. Number in the studio is 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. You just woke up and just tuned in this morning. We're talking about a article that's in, of course, it's in all of the Detroit papers, but it's in several of the national news media outlets as well. Ford Motor Company, one of the big three automakers that used to all be based here in Detroit. Ford Motor Company has applied for, apparently they applied for it back in October, but the public notice of the application for a patent was released the last couple of days of Black History Month. And it apparently, now those of you that are from Detroit, you will remember that there was a very well-known African-American auto dealer by the name of Mel Farr. He went by the tag of Mel Farr Superstar, who ran his own finance company. It was called Triple M Finance. And I thought that my memory had told me it was Triple M, but I'm glad that Mel Jr. reminded me it was Triple M Financing. And back then they were ahead of their time. They decided to loan to put more cars in the hands of people who didn't have the higher credit scores and that they might not be able to make all of their payments. But in order to protect their interest in the car, they put on a device that became called a kill switch to, as Mel Jr. just told you, it was a starter interrupter. It stopped you from being able to start your car. It didn't have anything at all to do with shutting the car off once it was running, had nothing to do with the operation of the car. It simply was a technology that was installed between your ignition and the starter, which turns the engine over, and that they would basically kill your ability to start your car up in the morning if you hadn't made your payment on until you brought the payment current, or at least called them and made contact with them to let them know when you were going to make the payment. And that wound up being very controversial back in the 90s. There were even some lawsuits that were filed on behalf of the consumers back then in the 90s. I know that after I posted that that's what we were going to talk about this morning, several people wound up sending me copies of the lawsuits that were filed, and you were still a little angry about what had happened back in the 90s. But my question is, the thing that struck me is that Ford Motor Company, you'll know, as a result of all of the bad press that came from the kill switches being installed in the cars, Ford Motor Company separated with a very successful African-American auto dealer. They cut Mel Farr loose, and he wound up having to still go out. He and his sons wound up still selling cars, but they wound up selling cars that were not cars that were brand new cars from Ford Motor Company. And now Ford Motor Company, out of all of the auto suppliers out there, has decided that they want to patent the technology that will allow them to control that, to once again regain control of that car by technological means if your payment is behind. And I thought it was pretty ironic. That's why I called Mel Jr. yesterday and asked him if he'd get up. And I'm glad that he had the ability to call this morning. 313-778-7600. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Fidel. Good morning, Fidel.
Yeah, you got keeping in mind that, well, T did say it, so, like, do you realize how many times Mel Farr got burned before he came up with that? And keep in mind that he was taking people with bad credit, no money down, little money down, and he's putting you in the car. Second of all, it would, if I can remember correct, it would be maybe the third payment, wasn't the first or second, you know what I mean? When you just went 3 or 4 times not paying your payment, and what do you expect? What do you expect for this black man to do? You know what I mean? As a business owner. Now, to the corporation, this is where me and you have a difference of opinion, Gary. Most times, you favor the corporation. You say, well, they are in business to make money. Now you saying they keep the brothers inside. Is it because you know them personally? You know what I mean? That's the way that they do us all. And, you know, if I come on here and say, hey, man, why do we go in business with them? They do us wrong. Even as a football player, man, one of the greatest running backs, some people consider the greatest running back ever played. Look how they played Barry Sanders. But if it's a mediocre white boy quarterback, they say, and he retired after 10 years, they say, give him the rest of his pay, give him a bonus, a car, and this and that. But with Barry, they say, hey, man, we want some of that money back. You didn't live up to the outfit. Last but not least, man, just like Uber and Lyft, we was jitneys. It's very extremely hard for us to get some funding, put a patent on it, and then the whole world can copy us. So that's all the European white man has always done. Stole our idea, made it for themselves, and become filthy rich off of it. But the bottom line of it, man, they don't have to worry about with me. I ain't never bought a Ford, nothing. I can't stand Fords. I'm a European man when it comes to the car. They make a better quality car, always have. So they don't have to worry about me, man. And that's just my little comment for the day, Terry. Peace out.
Hold on a second. So you don't believe in buying American-built products?
I didn't say that.
You said I'm a European man. Yeah, so tell me who you believe. Tell me which car company you believe makes the.
I read check with BMW, the ultimate driving experience. It just totally different. If something go wrong with your up-to-date BMW Benz, that's what they do. And Lexus, that's what they do. You check it in for certain, they're gonna give you the next year.
They give me another car to go drive while my car was in the shop. You're right.
Guess what Ford gonna tell you to do? You take your car in for certain. You got a backlog. They ain't gonna give you a lending car unless you on a certain plan. The spins are just totally different. They make a better car. Period. European. Europeans make the original Europeans on the car seat. Let's get that correct, because they are Europeans. They make a better car than Ford Motor Company. Everybody knows that, and that's just my opinion.
Have a good day, brother. Thanks for calling. All right, y'all. Sarge's on the line now. I asked him to call, but he called yesterday. Good morning, Sarge. How are you this morning?
Hey, I'm all right, Kerry. I'm not going to talk about what I want to talk about yesterday. I'll get you next week on that. But I'm going to tell you a quick story. My wife and I went to the Lexus dealership on M59. This was back in the early 90s. And we walked in and my wife wanted a Lexus. So she says, I want the one that's on the showroom floor. I'll take that one. The guy came over to us after we was there for almost an hour now. Nobody came to help us. Nobody asked if we need anything or nothing, because we were in our kind of work clothes. I was in my uniform. My wife was in her nurse's uniform. Nobody came to help us until this young man came over and said, I'll only be working in 2 days. Can I help you? I said, I'll take the one right there. And when the other white boys in the place heard me say that, they all came over to want to help now. And they said, well, you know, they put a locking device on your car when you after you get it. And I said, is that a lease or a purchase? He said, well, we're talking lease, right? Now, this is when leases were for the rich and famous, you know. So I told him, I'm not here to lease a damn thing. I'm here to purchase, but I would never purchase from this dealership because, in fact, nobody came to help us. So we went to the other dealership in Southfield, had them transport that car over to Southfield off this showroom floor, and I bought it just to make them look stupid. And the point was, he let it know real quick that they will put a shut-off device on my car once I purchased it. And I quickly told him, if I'm on vacation and you shut off my car so I can't finish my vacation for some reason, expect me to come to your house in the middle of the night.
Hey, let me tell you, Sarge, I've had the exact same experience. First of all, you do know, and clearly you figured it out. Both the M59 location and the Northwestern Highway location are both owned by the same folks. They're Meade. And right. I mean, I've purchased more than one Lexus automobile. They give you, you know, I can't disagree with what Fidel said. I mean, they would prefer you call them and let them know what day you're bringing your car in so that they could have one ready. But I regularly would take my car up there and say, listen, I'm pulling in now and I need a loaner, and I need a loaner right now. And no other car dealer has ever been able to say, don't worry about it, Mr. Jackson, we got you covered. Now, I'm going to tell you the one thing that I went through with me that it took me a while to figure it out. Every single time I took my car to them, 100% of the time, whatever I took them for, whatever I took it there for, they always fixed that plus everything else they could find. And they'd always call. If I thought that I was going to spend $500, they'd call and say, but Mr. Jackson, this also was wrong and that was wrong. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm glad y'all fixed it. And instead of me spending $500, I'd wind up spending $1,500, maybe $2,000 on a bunch of different occasions. They love to see me coming, but it's the quality of. And here's the thing: all of the American dealers can do the exact same thing. It is simply that the staff there was told, this is how you're going to treat your customers. And they did give us, they did give you much, much, much better treatment. But that's a human thing. It's got nothing to do with the automobile itself. It's got to do with, that's how they train their people to care about the customer. When the customer walks in off the street and they're spending their money, they treat you better. So thanks for telling that story. Wait, but here's another thing. Before I go, Sarge, do you have my cell phone number? 313-658-3700. 313-658-3700. Write it down. Call me later on in the day so we can talk about what you need to talk about. Okay?
Okay, real quick.
658-3700.
How do you have time to talk on the phone between all your wives?
Man, I have no idea. All right? Call me later. I got to go to break. Have a good morning, Sarge. We'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back.
This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt.
for your guaranteed biggest refund and 50% off tax prep. Switch to Jackson Hewitt. 50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
WADL gets a facelift and is now My 38 Detroit. Along with a facelift comes new programming. On Mondays at 8 p.m., catch a 2-hour block of Law and Order SVU. Tuesdays, Chicago Fire. Wednesdays, Dateline. More Dateline and Chicago PD on Thursdays and on Fridays. You'll get more Chicago PD to start your weekend. We'll still have some of your favorite shows like Mom, Blackish, and Friends. Just adding more for you to enjoy on My 38. Attention! Do you owe back taxes, fines, and penalties to the IRS? The IRS now offers new relief options for taxpayers affected by COVID-19, but you can't go it alone. Call Tax Solutions now. Our team of former IRS agents and tax professionals can get you the best deal. We know the COVID-19 rules. Call us and never speak to the IRS again.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
The virus has caused the IRS to take extensive action to help taxpayers. So if you owe $10,000 or more, this is the best time in years to settle your tax debt.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
Remember, the IRS will not give up until you pay. Call 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499. 800-683-9499.
The Word Network has been broadcasting inspirational messages around the world since the year 2000, and we keep getting bigger and better and more innovative. Seen all around the world, we bring you the best teaching, impartation, singing, and inspiration. If you want original programming, we have that too. The Word Network is your exclusive source for all things inspiration, and we can be found on every device imaginable. If you want to be uplifted and inspired, you need the Word Network.
My 38 is offering a great special that cannot be refused. Are you looking for a great deal on TV advertising? Are you searching for an avenue to get your business name out to the public? With My 38, we are offering a great special with 100 commercial ads for a great price. This offer is for a 30-day ad placement. Please contact Devin C. for more information at 248-357-4566 or email at d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads.
The 910 AM live stream can now be seen on Apple TV, Roku, Chromecast, YouTube Red, iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android tablet, Amazon Kindle Fire, any Windows phone, or watch us live at 910amsuperstation.com.
Welcome back, Metro Detroit. It's Kerry Leon Jackson, your urban conservative. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Heel. Good morning.
Hey, my brother.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, this is Hill, my brother. I said, hell no. I said that was Mel Fire about 30 years ago. The black man invented that. And Grace needs to study African American history because she don't know that the evil, wicked white man is trying to steal the patent. And I hope the Mel Fire family is going to get paid on that vehicle interruption.
As you heard his son say right here, they didn't even know. When I called his son yesterday and I asked him if he'd seen the news, he hadn't even seen it yet. So I sent him several of the articles that I had seen, and I had then called him back and said, brother, I need you up at 6:30, at 6 o'clock in the morning. And he said, that's usually when he's on his exercise bike and stuff, but he was going to call. So, I mean,
they need to get paid. They need to get, I hope the family gets paid. The black man invented that. Mel Fire 30 years ago or more. And that's horrible.
I mean,
Ford is trying to take the.
I don't know that he individually invented the actual device. What he did was decide to put that device in cars that previously they had not put the device in. That gave them an opportunity, because when they're deciding on whether they're going to finance a car to somebody, they're taking that person's the 5 C's of credit into consideration. They're trying to figure out if this person is going to actually make the payments or not. And if they don't make the payments, how do we protect our collateral? Well, by putting that device on the cars, that gave them an extra added way of saying we're going to turn the car off, because people sometimes when they fall behind on stuff, they don't want to talk to you. They're not going to answer the phone when you call, and things like that. But as you just heard Mel Fry Jr. just say, please, OnStar does the exact same thing. When the people try to go hide the car afterwards, they OnStar allows them to track the car. And the truth is, in all of the new cars now, the police will tell you on a regular basis. They can track what car was at what corner when there was a shooting at that corner. So all of the new cars, the technology tells on you. But now Ford wants to take it to the next step of saying, we don't just want to turn off the car. We want to be able to lock you out of the car, change so that you can't get in the car, and then we're going to have the car that we own. We're going to program it so that car can drive away from you. We don't even need to send a tow truck to go pick it up. That car can drive away from you because it's a self-driving car. The new ones will be self-driving and drive itself to the nearest impound lot, which is where we will have our collateral until you decide to pay us our money. And again, as I said, if GM, who with OnStar had decided to do it, I wouldn't even be talking about it today. If it had been Volkswagen or Toyota or someone else, I wouldn't have cared. It's like, okay, good. Let them go make their money. But because I know the family and I know what happened and how they turned their back on a very successful African-American auto dealer because of the bad press, for Ford to now, 25, 30 years later, to say, oh, we invented this new technology. It's a great idea. And we want to own the patent. I thought was pretty hypocritical.
My brother, I love Mel Fire. I put him right up there with Coleman Young. And I wish Grace, and I know she's listening, she better study the black man's African-American history and the evil, wicked white man.
Hey, y'all know that's how she feels about him anyway. Thanks anyway, brother. Have a good morning.
All right, brother.
All right. Let's go to Yusuf.
Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning, Yusuf. What's on your mind?
Good morning, my brother. It's ironically, I just heard a survey and a research done by a firm. It might have been yesterday. Anyway, the top 10 reliable vehicles with the least amount of money paid for repairs over a 10-year period, the top 10, the first 6 was Toyota. It was something like a Mitsubishi in there, then 2 more Toyotas, then a Honda.
So you just, brother, what you just said is, remember, this is a Detroit radio station. All right. So we've got auto workers who are listening to the show. In fact, I know for a fact that there are some Ford auto workers who are listening to the show right this very second. So I would never, ever, ever say anything about the American auto worker. But it's not brand new. It's not a secret that Japanese have engineered that those vehicles that are made from Asian auto manufacturers are engineered a little bit so they can last a little longer.
Oh, okay, well, we definitely can't put some of them German cars in there either. God. Them BMWs, they want you, if you can't afford it, you don't even see no old ones on the street.
Yeah, listen, there's a reason that each Lexus that I had was in the hundreds of thousands of miles because I drive a lot. And so each Lexus I had, I mean, the last one I had, I put 500,000 miles on it by the time we got rid of it. And then 3 months later, I got a phone call from a guy that had repaired the stuff and was still driving it on the streets of New York. So, they build those cars to last a lot longer. But I got to tell you, the American automobile has come a long way from where it was 25 years ago.
Oh, no,
I mean, there was no way I would have bought an American automobile that had 100,000 miles on it before. But now, if it's got 100,000 on it, it's still going to make it to 150 or 200,000 now. Right. But in 1978, you never would have done that. You would have said, "Oh no, I'm walking away from that. That car is ready for the junk heap." So they've tried. They might not be at the level of where Toyota is, but they're at least on Toyota's heels. We are doing a lot better now than where we were before.
Yeah, they're doing a heck of a lot better than back in the day.
Right.
That BMW, bruh, they know what they're doing. They don't build them to last. never been in reliability.
But it's a comfortable ride. It's a very comfortable ride while it's running. But boy, the second, I got to tell you, I used to own the Benz, and I used to, I'm every trip across the entry as I drove that car into the dealership, each one of them was a painful trip. So, all right, brother, I'm out of time. Thanks for calling this morning. Have a great morning. All right, y'all, I'm out of time. Next up is State Representative Joel Jones. Either him or another member of the foundation will be here to bring you information and inspiration from 7 to 9 this morning, followed by Attorney Anthony Adams, who will be here to talk about politics, culture, and the community from 9 to 11. So stay tuned right here to 9:10 a.m. Superstation throughout the morning. I'll be back in front of this microphone tomorrow with my co-host Keisha at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is when the winter storm starts. Today, we're not going to have a winter storm. Tomorrow, we're going to have to deal with that. So whatever you've got to do to be prepared to be hunkered down and maybe lose power or something like that for a couple of days, do all of that shopping today and get prepared. And I look forward to talking to each and every one of y'all at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Have a great day.